Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to, season finale. Season finale of Let's Talk About It, man. We have come a long way. 12 episodes. 12 episodes in.
Yes, sir.
I see you. I see you. I like that bow tie in.
Likewise, my brother.
I like what you're doing, man. Hey, we got some exciting individuals tonight, man. But listen, we are just allowing everybody a chance to join in, and don't forget, make sure you like, subscribe, you comment, engage with us. Make sure you put your comments on. We definitely want to say what's up to our YouTube family, what's up to our Facebook family. We appreciate everybody for rocking with us for just 12 episodes as we have traveled through this first season. So we are excited to have you. We are getting ready to introduce two amazing women who are doing some awesome things, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, and I'm going to start with you, Miss Shay. Introduce yourself to our family.
Hi, my name is Shay Dabney. I am a senior this year at Colorado State University Pueblo. I double major in political science and history with the intention of eventually going on to serve my community. I think that's going to be through politics right now, but it changes every couple of months. I'm the president of the Black Student Union on my campus. I'm the vice president of the Pueblo chapter of the Young Democrats, and I am the president of my chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And that's it for me, I think.
Awesome. Excited to have you, Shay. Excited to have you. And we also have another amazing woman, and that is Dr. Alexandra White. Please introduce yourself to the family.
Hello, everyone. Love, peace, and blessings. I am Dr. Alexandra White. I would definitely like to thank Mr. West for inviting me to this wonderful platform. I currently reside in Oxford, Mississippi. And when I'm not teaching in the classroom or helping students, I am helping dismantling white supremacy. So in my downtime, I'm also a full-time artist and a trained speaker in diversity and inclusion and equity. So that is what I do. That is what I love, and that is what makes me feel motivated every day. So hello, everyone.
Hey. And like always, I got my brother from another mother, my brother Ian, here with me, man. I'm just so glad to have him just being a part of this journey with me. So appreciate you being here. He is known as the question man. So I know he has a slew of questions that he's going to be diving into for these young ladies this evening. And so as a reminder, if you are on YouTube, type your comments in YouTube, because we want to hear from you, and we'll be pulling those comments from the comment section and putting them up on the screen. So we definitely want to engage with you. And we want to say that if you are on Facebook, still make sure that you comment so we can capture those moments with you. And we are super excited to be here. So we just gonna start off with something just simple. So ladies, how was your day? Alex, how was your day today?
My day was wonderful. I woke up, did me a little run, my braids was tight, so I had to take
You were getting new braids last night. That's right. I wake up, but since you brought it up,
right.
we, we
My hair was tight, so I went for the run, and my head was tight, but it was good. It's really hot down here, but it was a beautiful day.
good deal,
And
man.
it was a beautiful day because they voted to take down the Confederate statue on the University of Mississippi campus today.
Wow.
So,
Yes.
Wow.
So they voted to take down the Confederate statue. So that's a win for today.
That's awesome win. I mean, guys, yesterday we were doing our production call where we do a test and everything. And Dr. Alex said, listen, I'm a calling, but right now she said I'm getting my hair done. So at that point, me and Derek knew that she really she wasn't born in the South, right? It was like that Alabama, because I knew she was living in Mississippi, but that's what gave it away. Ian, when she said I'm getting my hair done, because she was in the South, she was like, oh, I'm getting my hair did. It would have all been one little thing. I'm getting my hair did, and so it's a difference, when you had it, hey, so we got Miss Janet shouting out to the Sorrows and that stuff there. So hey, Mama Janet, love you. So definitely, Sandra Gant, good evening. Oh man, so always gonna be here, gonna have the supporters here. So, but yeah, so Shay, how was your day?
I had a good day. I actually got a visit from a friend that was unexpected. I went and seen her new apartment. We caught up a little bit, so it was like, hey, yeah. I was gonna say mine was a lot less exciting. Not too much is going on in Colorado Springs this week, it seems like, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, so guys, we do have a third guest in Kendricks. He's trying to log back in. Like I said, it's always a some issue. Like we tested this on Tuesday, tested it yesterday. We were on earlier. He was fine. Everybody was there, and all of a sudden his computer froze. So, definitely want to shout out to my brother Kendricks William. If he can't get on, we still, hey, we love you. Thank you, my brother, for really participating with the show and getting everything going. So, Ian.
Yes, sir.
Man, how was your day today, man? Because I know when we spoke earlier, you were a little hot. You were a little hot earlier. I know you get mad. I know when I call him and say, man, I'm sick of this, man.
Yeah, we just, it's been rough out here in Akron, man. So, it's a lot of stuff going on that's making me a little, a little antsy, a little hot. But, we getting through it, So my day was cool. Some good news, some bad news.
Ian, we ain't finna do that. We not finna do that. Well, let's talk about it, Ian.
I got my bow tie on, man. I'm civilized right now, brother.
I want T-shirt, Ian. That's the
you don't
want
want
right now. we want T-shirt radical Ian who I talked to today. But no, we literally had to shift gears, and we were trying to figure out how we can be able to position. Oh, is that Kendricks? Okay, we got him. Derek is working, baby. Derek be producing. Welcome back, baby. Glad we can have you. So Kendricks, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can, sir. Introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Kendricks Welton Williams. I from Shreveport, Louisiana. I currently stay in Dallas, Texas. I've been here for the last 5 years. I work for the state of Texas with Texas Department of Transportation as a construction inspector. I am a father of two. I am on my second and last marriage, and I'm just trying to live life one day at a time. I'm not a planner, so today is the day, and then tomorrow I'll wait for it. But that's how I roll.
All right, man. Glad to have you on the show, man. So we're super excited. We were just kind of going through our days and having those conversations and being able to do it. And we were in the middle of really speaking about how when me and Ian were talking earlier, it really went from just a serious conversation. And I was like, Ian, man, we can't go back into this hole of just being angry and upset, because I know when we spoke a couple of days ago after our test, he was telling me that another young lady was shot in Akron, and then when they were saying it was due to like white supremacy and that kind of stuff, and then when they found out today that she was killed by 3 African American, 2 young men and another young lady, you know, to where understanding, even though we're facing what we're facing today, of course, in this with white supremacy, but we got to get it together, y'all. Like we can't, you know, it's hard to fight them and fight us, you know. So it's like we gotta get together. We have to get together. And me and Ian, we were having this debate, and we end up coming together in the debate because I was saying we have to protect our women, and Ian was saying like our men have to do better. And I said, well, Ian, essentially we're saying the same thing. If our men do better, then naturally we'll protect our women and our children. So you know, there's a level of intentionality that has to happen, you know, to where during this fight we cannot fight the enemy and also watch our back. We got to be looking forward. We got to understand who's in front of us. So, you know, that's why tonight I'm just excited to really dive into some amazing information, guys. We have an amazing panel. We have, you know, Shay, who's actively protesting in Colorado. She's going to be speaking about that. We have Kendricks, who's going to just be speaking from that place of being a Black father, getting ready to, raising 2 Black sons and having that conversation. And then we have Dr. Alex, who's really going to be speaking on where do we go from here? Because to me, that's the next step. You know, that's one of the things that me and Ian are always talking about. The marching is good, the protesting is good, but we have to have a plan. We have to have a sense of direction because we don't want it to just seem like a pep rally. No, when we protest, we're protesting for a purpose. We're marching for a purpose. When we get to that destination, then we're going from protesting to paperwork to policy. You know, so there's things that we have to put in place, and we have to have people that know different directions. Like we say on this show, it's not our job to always have the answers. We just want to talk about it. We want to have open dialogue so that we have a chance to know. So, Ian, I'm going to be quiet, man, because I know you got some questions that's burning a hole in your pocket.
I do. So let's get started. Can we start with Shay?
Yeah.
All right, Shay. So in your introduction, you told us a lot of the things that you were involved in. So clearly you are an activist. Now, with you being an activist, what are some of your goals that you set for yourself in this walk that you're taking?
So my activism really took root, I would say, because I have been a part of the Black Student Union, and I feel more so personally my goal in that was to educate myself, but it kind of converted more so into activism when last August Devon Bailey was shot. And it was circulating in the news. I know it made it to the Daily Mail, and Devon Bailey was a classmate of mine, and I didn't know Devon personally, or we didn't have any intimate relationship, but I was so devastated to have lost someone that you see every day, like that you interact with on a daily basis, that it pushes you to, you realize that eventually someone has to do something. And in my education, I've learned that an idea without an action is nothing. So as an activist, my goal is to create visible change, like perceivable change in my community through actionable legislation, essentially.
Man, you tackled that. I like that.
and that's hey, listen, man. I know that Shay, you sent us a video, and I know Derek is getting ready to get that queued up. But in that moment, you know, and after we play this video, because when I saw it, it was just powerful, you know, to where, you know, how it spoke and just being able to see that level of impact. And I would love for you to really just speak to that moment and kind of, you know, share some story and context within that video.
Absolutely.
Enough is enough. Stop police brutality.
Police silence is police violence.
Am I next?
Am I next?
You're doing the wrong thing.
Stop killing
My
us.
skin doesn't define me.
Black Lives Matter.
Justice for George Floyd.
I can't breathe.
I can't breathe.
I can't breathe.
Please, I can't breathe.
I can't breathe.
Frederick Douglass said, I prayed and I prayed for liberation, but it did not come until I prayed with my feet. It is our duty to fight I will say this again, and please say it with me. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains. 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 We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Man, that that video right there. I mean, just for me, I mean, just the amount of young people, the amount of races, and it was powerful.
I think that so Colorado Springs, for example, Black people are only 6% of the demographic, and it is important to realize that when you're protesting in Colorado Springs, you're not in Atlanta, and you're not going to have the thousands of people that are showing out in the same. The interactions with the police are going to be different, and especially here in Colorado Springs, this type of injustice has hit so close to home, especially it being only last year. And even in 2018, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Black Klansman movie that came out, but that movie was about Colorado Springs and the Klan, and how a Black police officer infiltrated it. And all of it, it seems as though Colorado Springs had several points at which they could address this issue until they didn't. And finally, this was the protest. That video was from the protest that me and two other young ladies had helped organize it was March 30th. And I didn't watch the entire 8-minute and 46 second video of George Floyd's life being taken from him, because I already know the grief, and I already know the pain that comes with it. So along with those two young ladies, I asked the woman who's primarily speaking in the video. She is my soror, Dr. Stephanie Rose Spalding. She's also somebody in the community that I've been working with very heavily to try and make an actionable change, because we've seen, and not even just in Colorado Springs, but we've had Devon Bailey, Elijah McClain, countless others, and I don't want to take too much time listing people that have lost their lives to this, but it was just overwhelming.
Thank you. All right, go ahead, Ian.
We're gonna switch gears. Kendrick, my man, what's going on?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. You mentioned in your intro, man, you got two beautiful sons, man. And what's kind of the dialogue and conversations that you're having with your sons during this time? Are you explaining to them what's going on, and how are you kind of navigating that territory right now?
Well, with my youngest, I have two, of course, Kenton and Cade. Cade is my youngest. He's 3. So you can't really tell him nothing. He's not trying to listen to anything anyway. So, but with my oldest, Kenton, he's 5. He'll be 6 on July 14th of next month. He's kind of been exposed to personnel of the law, because his grandfather on his mother's side, he was kind of involved in it, and he's ex-military, and then he has a lot of uncles and aunts that's also police officers. But one day we were just coloring at the table and stuff, and Cade was coloring a picture, and my wife Michelle, she was drawing a flower, and he drew all of us and a house, and then it was like a little angel figure, and he said that was him. I was just like, what? I was like, why did you draw yourself as an angel? Then he's like, well, I died. And I was like, well, why did you die? He's just like, because the police officer shot me. And I was like, and I looked at my wife. And so I was just like, okay, how do I ease into this? So I was just like, well, why did he shoot you? He said, because he was doing bad things. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I was like, you believe that you're supposed to get shot by the police every time you do bad things? And he said, I don't know. Then I was just like, well, I mean, do you think that a police officer will harm you just because? And then he was like, I don't know. And I was just like, well, are you scared of cops? And then he said no. And then I was just like, oh, okay. And then he was just like, but it's okay because I won't do bad things. But it was still just odd because he drew that picture and it was just random, just out of nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I remember Kendricks. I remember you know, when you were sharing that with me, and I remember us having the conversation about when you found out that your son was diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
And when you saw him draw that picture, how that picture hit harder than the cancer.
Yeah.
Why is that?
The picture hit harder than the cancer because it was what I felt when they said he had cancer. Because when they said he had cancer, I was like, man, it's more on him now because now he has to deal with this along with being a Black person in this country and the world, just period. And so when that picture was drawn, it really caught me by surprise. And in all honesty, when he was done with the picture, and probably 5-10 minutes went by before I even asked him about it, because I really didn't even know how to approach it, because I didn't want to open any floodgates or anything like that. And then also, like, I'm very emotional about his tough time because I can't really do anything but comfort him through his fight through leukemia. And he does that very well. It's just, it's just not a good thing to also have while he's doing the fight of his personal life. And that's what I'm not really liking. And something needs to change for that so people can have their own life to worry about.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I know, man, just from knowing you personally, and you say, hey, everything I do, man, I do it for my boys. So I know, man, I know.
Man.
That's it. Powerful. Thank you, man.
Awesome. Let's move on. Can I call you Dr. Alex? Dr. Alexandria? Which one do you prefer?
Dr. Alex is fine.
Dr. Alex. Okay, Dr. Alex. All right. Now, Dr. Alex, you organize these protests. Is that correct? Are you an organizer of the protests? So our question for you is,
know what?
Talk to us. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, talk to us.
No, I am not the organizer. So I want to put that out there because there's tons of people that have these ability to be a great community activist. So I do not mind standing in the background and letting other people lead. And so luckily, these last couple of protests, I am a community activist. A lot of people in the Oxford, Mississippi community know me. I created the largest Black forum for the people here in the Oxford community. But I had other people in the community that took the action to get the permit. So I sometimes leaders have to understand to take the back seat and let other people lead.
Okay. All right. Wes, you want to hop in?
I do.
Get in there.
Because that is a powerful statement, because, so often things don't get done because everybody want to be in the driver's seat.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I love the fact that you said, hey, I can play my position well,
Yes.
from the back seat. I can push you, I can encourage you, I can do those things. And I think we need more of that, you know, because one of the things that we've been talking about, you know, throughout this show, like last week, we had the 3 young ladies and, you know, and their experience in that. And we were saying, you know, everybody's not built for the front line.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not made for everybody. So Alex, when you say to somebody, hey, I want to take that backseat role, how is that received?
Well, I play on people's strengths. I love playing on people's strengths. I'm trained in Strength Quest, and that is, young brother, young sister, you have something to say. I can give you the tools. I can be your paperwork. I can do your paperwork. I can help you with that permit. We're going to learn this together. But I'm going to need you to get the t-shirts. I'm going to need you to paint the boards. I'm going to need you to get your friends, your church members, your sorority and fraternity brothers. It is all about speaking life into someone. And so being able, I got a call. It is so ironic. I got a call from someone, Alex, can you say this for me because I'm scared to say it. I said, I cannot, but I am going to give you the tools so that you can do that for yourself. Oh, I'm just little old me. I just do hair. You just do hair. Do you know how powerful the barbershops and beauty salons are in the African American community? You have a platform right there. So let's work on what you can say in your shop. And that's what we do. You have to speak life into people and making sure that they know they have the power. It is everybody has a gift. And
Right.
and you have to showcase that. And one of my talents is, hey, I'm going to look at someone, notice their gifts, and how are we going to maximize that to dismantle white supremacy and to continue with social justice.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Let's go back around to Shay. Shay, just a couple of things. We saw you in the video. You were like engaged on the front lines of this protest. What was some of the takeaways that you had? Just really being on the front lines, like being seen and in the middle of it. What did you take away from those experiences?
Between organizing and leading the protest, I realized that because it was the protest that was in that video that took place on March 30th was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first that was to take place in Colorado Springs. And I noticed that it was key for people to know what they were out there for. So it was obvious that a lot of people in the community, they had a lot of feelings, they had a lot of things that they wanted to express, a lot of group grieving that was to be done, but people didn't really know how to go about that. So something that I kind of wanted to do as an organizer initially was to realize that people in the community want to speak. They want to be a part of their community. They want to have a stake in it. And oftentimes the places that have been set up for them, they don't really feel welcome, or they don't really have the information to really feel as though they belong in these settings. So I realized that, or things that I really took away, is that it's important to know what you are talking about, to like really focus your message and ensure that the people have an ability to vent and express how they feel too. Because the organizers, the activists, they are just one people amongst the community, and it's important to have the actual community, the people that are maybe not fit to be on the front lines, to be able to voice their opinions too.
Gotcha. Wes, you want to hop in?
Yeah. So Alex, with what you've seen, because I know you've been involved in several different protests, and first of all, what are some of the different protests you've been in, just so people know just your experience with protesting, and what's some of the common themes that you see in protesting?
I have Jenna 6. One of my first protests was the Jenna 6. I don't know if anybody remembers that. And it has just been something that I definitely get it from my dad. He South Side of Chicago, had some dealings with the Black Panthers. He's very militant. Rest in peace. And so that's definitely a part of my DNA. But for Mike Brown, I was in St. Louis. I was in Ferguson. I was in D.C. When the Trayvon Martin verdict was finished. It was a huge protest. Howard campus, U Street, protesting in Mississippi. Just two protests in the last 14 days in this small town, college town, very deep South. So it was amazing to see Blacks, whites, Jews, atheists, members of the LGBT community, clergymen protesting in this conservative hotspot in the Deep South. And so that's just a short list of some of the things that I have done visibly. But as an educator, I'm silently protested in the classroom every time that I speak to students is about injustices or anything like that. So those are some visible ones. And of course, being an educator, you have to use your platform to protest injustice. I have seen so much. I have rubber bullets are no joke. tear gas
Man.
is no joke.
And that's why, yeah, because that's what I wanted to know, like really those experience. The funny part, me and Derek, we were at Genesis. We were part of a motorcycle club in Alabama, and we took the motorcycles, and I'd say that was one of the longest rides ever. And then when we got there, like that was my first experience of protest, right? And really of rally and that and in that moment and to your point, there's no greater feeling than when you see people across color lines, religious lines, gender lines come together on the same page for the same cause. And I'm always humbled and amazed by, that this is the life that God wants us to live, minus the tragedy.
Yeah.
Where we can come together and celebrate minus the tragedy. So but you were saying the rubber bullets and tear gas. I mean, I know that's wow.
Yeah. So I am my mom's only daughter. I have 5 brothers, and my mom calls me like clockwork. Where are you?
Absolutely.
Where's the bail? Where's the bail money? Where's the bail money? She knows where the bail money is. Where are you? And just be careful, because she knows. She already knows. So it's and I hope that she doesn't have to do this. So later on in her life, I hope we are done. That this is over with. And that's why we need to know what we need to do. What's the next step? Because I don't want my 15-year-old daughter in 5 years, in 10 years, protesting these same injustices. So,
wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got you.
Absolutely. Ken, have you been out in the protest at all?
Yeah, I went to a protest with my pastor at Impact Church. We were going with another congregation. They was bringing his people down, but then when we got there, it was people that was already down there, and it was a different kind of people. It was young people, it was old people. It was a bike crew, like people that ride cycles through the city. It was like 100 of them. It was homeless people signs. This tells you how much all of this stuff is speaking, and that's my first protest. Because I've always been the guy, and I can't lie, I was the guy that's like, man, something needs to be done, but I ain't doing nothing. But then I didn't recognize what I was doing and using the platform that I do have, because yesterday I got with a small nonprofit place because my project is in South Dallas. And so every day, like I see a lot of people, it's a lot of homeless people down there, and it's a lot of neglected people, a lot of victims. So I try to do my part and pass out some water or something like that. But then it's this place, they always give out food literally every day. Every day I see them, every day I pass by, they're giving out food, they're giving out food. So yesterday I went back and I talked to the director there. Her name is Sherry Nixon of T.R. Hoover Development Center. And she said, yeah, we take, donations and stuff like that. And I had my work clothes on. Then she's like, oh, hey, we supposed to get with y'all. And I was like, get with us about what? Then she's just like, oh, yeah, I talked to your managers and directors because it's a garden across the street that they want to get built up and everything like that on this church property. And we supposed to try to get with the Board of Governors and Public Works, along with the city of Dallas and, of course, with TxDOT to try to get a sidewalk there so the community can come around and get in that. And I told her, I was just like, I can be the liaison for that. And it's just like Dr. Alex said about I can't do what's primarily needed, but I can help you get to that point. And that's what made me realize, like, that is my gift that I do have, and start working with other people around and just get the ball rolling somewhere and start small. And next thing you look up is bigger than you. And that's what it's about.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right. Real quick, Shay. Last week we had 3 young ladies on the show. They were still in high school. They were out protesting, really involved and engaged in what's going on. Now you would be their elder, so to speak. So do you have any advice for young men, young women who are beginning their walk towards activism and really getting involved? Do you have any advice for them?
I feel as though what I've seen is a lot of younger people than me in my community. They kind of have this sense of urgency that we need to do something, that there is no more time that we can wait. And that is what I need them to hold on to. I don't want them to lose their fire, but at the same time, you have to educate and you have to elevate. So know what you're talking about, know your stances, know where you lie on issues. Please read about the issues that you're talking about, because this enemy that is racism that we are facing is more than just the police. It's more than just housing. It's more than just education. It literally permeates every facet of our lifestyle. So educate yourself, look for people around you that are like-minded, and work together to make change in your community.
Awesome.
And listen to people around you that have been doing the work.
Absolutely.
Hey Ian, I got a
Yes,
question.
sir.
I got a question from Pastor K, and he's saying, do you think protest culture is changing? If so, how? And this is for Shay and Dr. Alex, because I know, like you say, Alex, with you all the way from Gen 6 to what you're seeing now with George Floyd. So Shay, I'll start with you, and then we'll shift gears to Alex.
I can only speak to what I've learned in books, but from what I gather, it would seem that the culture has not really changed, and it's just the way that it is being presented to culture on the whole, which has changed. So typically we have seen the fire hydrants and we've seen the dogs, and today we see the gas and the rubber bullets. But even in Colorado Springs, these protests have been going on for weeks, and you're not hearing about them anymore in the media. So I think that we still are boycotting, and we're still sitting in, and people are still doing the same things that we've done, that we've learned have worked in the past. It's just the way that we're being represented in the media is changing.
Okay.
And I want to piggyback on what Shay said. So from Genesis and Mike Brown, yes, social media has changed the image of protesting. I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning watching a live feed of what was going on in Atlanta, in Minneapolis, because I could do that with technology. So technology has changed protesting. So let's just start there. We are able to see random strangers walking on highways at midnight. So this is the change that social media has done. And let's talk about the logistics, the overall well-being of protesting. I remember during the Mike Brown thing, when the tear gas came, I didn't have any milk. I didn't know to put on gas, but now I'm ready, honey. I got my milk. I got my battery pack. I write stuff on my body in case I'm arrested. I have snacks. I have evolved. And so the idea of protesting, once you've done it a little while, you see that. But yeah, there's people that I saw riding on bikes in Atlanta with snacks and water just to give out to the protesters. I don't remember seeing that in Ferguson. I don't remember seeing that when we were protesting for Trayvon Martin. We've gotten smarter. Social media technology has allowed us to show the world. And I think that this international outrage, protest in Germany, protest in Italy, is because of social media. And so that is the evolution. And there's going to be tons of think pieces and articles and opt-ins about the progression of protesting. And we are here to see that. And we are here to witness that.
Awesome. Good deal.
Awesome. Yes.
There was another one. Pastor K asked another question. He said, how do we celebrate Black women more in the movement?
Listen to us. How about that? Just listen. Just listen. That's
I mean, I would say, go ahead, Shay. Go ahead. I want you to speak to that.
Being on social media, I've had a really interesting perspective on this entire situation. And I don't want to mispronounce her name, so if someone could correct me. Olawu Toyin, I believe her name is. She was a young protester. She was homeless, and she was raped and killed by a Black man while she was out fighting for Black people. And we hear stories of like this, and since the news of her death, we've seen a huge division on social media. It's Black women versus Black men, and you don't defend us, and we don't have to. But I feel as though this is the only community in which we have to have this conversation, that we have to, Black men are unique in their position in that they are able to subjugate, and they are subjected as well to the rule of other people. And with that unique role, they've taken it out on Black women. And until Black men can be accountable and realize their privilege as men, there's nothing that we can really move forward with.
Wow.
What do you think? What do you think, Ken?
I'm big on self-reflection because for the longest time, I had all the answers. You know, I knew what I was doing because I was doing it. And so when I got married the first time, I just took the philosophy as like happy wife, happy life and everything. I did everything, and I bought everything, and I wasn't feeding into the bank that she was needing. And that dispersed because stuff happened. And so this time around, it's more self-reflection because like when we have a disagreement, we all want to be right. So you kind of naturally gravitate towards that. And then I had to catch myself. It's just like, you know what? I might be missing what she's trying to tell me. And we had this conversation yesterday. I was like, the more you tell me, even if you feel that it might hurt me or something, it's the more that I understand about you. And I know how to look at things when you do say them. And then I'm not confused and I know how to support you. And then, as Pastor K told me and my wife, you got to feel the love bank, because women give you everything they have, literally, then go get the kids, then go to work nowadays, because women really running the world secretly. Nobody just don't want to really admit it. And so when that happens, you got to fill them up too, because they are empty. And we have all this built up stuff. We can change that into positivity, and we can uplift them instead of kick down.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, Ian, that really ties into the conversation that we were having earlier, from what you were saying. If, one of the things that we were going to kind of deal with around Father's Day, is, dealing with men and their brokenness, and how their brokenness has grown into a bitterness. And sometimes, as men, as Kendrick said, those things, they become calloused, and we become unemotional, and we become, disconnected, because we're carrying the weight and the burden of so much that women are saying, hey, let me help you carry it. But oftentimes as men, we don't know how to communicate how we want to share that load. So there is a need for healing. One of the things that that we say at Impact is that we're trying to transform lives in order to transform a generation, right? So when we look at that narrative, one of the questions that came from Kingdom Image said, how can we make Juneteenth more appealing to celebrate in the generations to come? And that's so, because oftentimes I feel that people have this narrative really about Juneteenth, to where we celebrate 4th of July more than we celebrate Juneteenth. And Juneteenth is our independence. And it's not just an independence that we should celebrate, but it's also an independence that our white brothers and sisters need to also recognize that it's happening. Because when we look at slaves being free and we say, okay, it took over 2.5 years for that information to get to Galveston, and Galveston was one of the biggest ports. It was a port just the same size as New Orleans. So you got people coming in and out. So slavery, the word of slaves being free 2.5 years later, but on that day when it happened, that final independence, that reckoning, to where in your video, Shay, when they say the only thing we have to lose is our chains, that day, that's what we're celebrating. So in order, I feel, to engage young people, we have to first teach the history. We have to first teach the story. We have to bring them in and make them a part of it. And then we have to allow them to celebrate in their own way. Just because I clap, you may want to sing. Another person may want to dance. Another person may want to shoot fireworks. It's whatever it is that we want to do to be able, but I don't feel that we need to celebrate before we educate.
Yeah.
And anybody can jump in on that
one. I'm all for it. I'm 100%. I believe that if people knew the history of Juneteenth, that they would be more prone to celebrate it. I know that this year in Colorado Springs, this will be the first Juneteenth celebration that I'm hearing of. It's pretty regular for people to just go to the park. We have a big park that everybody goes to on the 4th, and everybody shoots off fireworks. But as people are starting to become more conscious of themselves, I feel like, especially being in Colorado Springs, which is a predominantly white town, as Black people start to become more cognizant of their history, they'll be more apt to celebrate these kinds of things. But it starts with education, because in school you never learn about Juneteenth, but you learn about the 4th of July. So I think it absolutely starts with education.
Absolutely. Okay, so Ian, back to you, buddy. As we get close to this, I know you probably got 1 or 2 more. I want you to be able to get to your questions.
Let's see.
Thank you, everybody, for putting your questions in the comments. Thank you, guys.
Yes. Okay, Ken. Real quick. I know we touched on the marching piece. I know you've been out there for your first one so far. Do you think that's anything that you would ever expose your children to, your sons, as far as going out to protest? If these continue and we stay consistent, do you and you get an opportunity to go back and do some more, possibly, do you think that you would bring your sons to experience this kind of change that's happening?
That's a very good question, because, well, here it's like the protesting it's like it's good, but then it get violent, and then a lot of people getting arrested, people getting shot at, and then those are doing peaceful protests, and just like Shay was just saying, like you're not hearing about protest anymore on the media and stuff. They only want to show like the violent things. I do want to expose them of community help and the social injustice that is happening everywhere besides just police brutality, because it's other things like legislating ugh, legislative people holding us down through the laws and everything like that, and through education. I feel that would expose them a little bit more to what is actually happening, because kids think practically. Because when they see something, they're gonna ask like, why they do that, because that doesn't make any sense. And they just see it with their eyes, and there's nothing to really explain. So I feel it is good for them to get exposed. Protesting as in a general, I feel that's not the really priority that I really want to take them down right now.
Gotcha. Let's see what we got here. Wes, what you got?
Man, listen. So as we get ready to move forward, so Dr. Alex, that's what we want to know, right? Like what's next? You know, what can we do? How can we get involved? You know, to like Kendricks is saying, you know, if everybody's not going to go the frontline route, what are some different avenues? What are some things that we can do?
First, I want to mention we are in a pandemic. Can we just pause for that for a moment? We are in a pandemic, and so Shay talked about the fierce urgency of now. When I talk to my friends, when I talk to younger people, older people, first of all, let's pump our brakes. I get that. What are our next steps? But how is your physical health? How is your mental health? I just read an article about African Americans, the stressors from COVID-19, racism, unemployment. I mean, this is the triangle effect for high blood pressure, stroke. And so while we want to do what do we need to do now, I'm going to need you to take care of your physical health, because you can't march with me if you are in the bed on a ventilator or you've had a stroke. So while we want these next steps, let's just start there with overall. And I think to anyone's listening, I just got my COVID-19 results back today. I am negative. I think you needs to be something that people do. You can be asymptomatic. So what's the next step? Let's start with the health and making sure that you are ready and able to do this fight. Okay. So people always talk about, what are we going to do next? Vote. That's common, and we always say that in every time that we're talking about next changes. Okay, when people say, okay, Alex, we got to get people to vote, I want to change that. I want to change and say, who are we getting to vote? I want felons to vote. I want homeless people to vote. I want dreamers to vote. So not only are we getting people to vote, but I need to get a whole nother demographic in there so that we can change this electoral college, so that we can change the numbers. I need people to understand that we need next steps in policy. In Ferguson, after Ferguson happened, what everybody knows about the Department of Justice report. They did this long scathing report of policing, what needs to happen, and cameras and all of that. We've had it. It's a long, I think close to 200 pages from Department of Justice about what they found in Ferguson. Policing for profit, everything. Okay, we got that. You want to see what happens? There is your draft right there in Ferguson. So what are we going to do with those policies? Are we going to support that if you're a bad cop in California, I'm going to need your record to show that you're a bad cop in California if you try to move to Atlanta, Georgia? So things that we can learn about. We might not be able to read every document, but those are just some of the things that we can learn about. We can learn about our health. We can learn about increasing certain demographics so that they can vote. And we can learn about things that have happened in the past, such as the Department of Justice report, and reading it or understanding it and seeing what has been done, what needs to be done, and how can we go about doing that.
Awesome. And thank you so much for that, Dr. Alex. And we love that approach because we're trying to give a full bandwidth of insight. And that's what we're getting, and you're spot on. And that's, we wanted your input of, hey, we can't march if we're not healthy. We can't, so that definitely parallels. We have to remember those things. And it's good to be able to be, it's good to be able to have the full conversation with people, making sure that we understand policy. One of the things that I heard both you and Shay say and Ken speak to, it's reading, being able to know the law, like knowing the rules and knowing these things. We have to increase our knowledge around these things so that we can have the right conversation, make educated choices, and be able to navigate our people, our culture, our race to the next level. So, listen, man, we are coming up on that point. And we know we do this for an hour. And what we want to do now is give each of you an opportunity to have your final word. We're going to have a quick commercial. When we come back from our commercial, we'll tee you guys up so you can give your final word, and give his final word, and then we'll wrap up tonight. Sound good?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. My name is Wesley, and I'm the lead trainer of Next Level Training. At Next Level Training, we believe that every training should be exciting, engaging, and impactful. If you're tired of sending your employees, essentially your family members, to trainings that lack engagement, that lack excitement, it sounds like you're ready to go to the next level. Not only do we create excitement and engagement in the training room, we do the same thing outside the training room. We believe that getting to know each other by networking and sharing experience is the key to expanding the brand. All right. So guys, as we come back, all right. Welcome back. As we get ready now to go into our final thoughts. Mr. Kendricks, we're going to start with you. Final thoughts.
Well, I'm not going to have any final thoughts on me. I'm going to take this time to recognize my hometown, Shreveport, Louisiana. Tommy McLaughlin Jr. was killed in April in police custody. Video just surfaced of him about 2 weeks ago from an eyewitness, and he was beaten for 4 minutes and 32 seconds. And they tased him 3 times. They kicked him in his face. They punched him in his face. They pushed him to the ground twice, and his head hit the ground. They threw him in the back of the police car, and he slumped over. They told the family that he was trying to break into somebody's car, and he died of natural causes. But when they saw him, he was beaten, his eye was swollen, closed, and his head was sunken in. The reports didn't get to the district attorney office until 54 days later. So the family is asking more questions on what really happened, because the reports compared to the video, compared to what the officers said, are 3 different answers that they're supposed to have. So Tommy McLaughlin Jr., please recognize him.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Shay?
Thank you.
I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak to my experience first and foremost. But I guess for my final thoughts, I would like to say keep fighting, don't be complacent. Um, Implementation happens at the state level, and by that I mean vote for your state and local politicians because they are going to be the people that put the policies in place that are going to create the change in your neighborhood. So pay attention to your local politics and vote, please.
Awesome. And Dr. Alex?
I just want to say that everybody has a part. Everyone has a part to play that they can dedicate to this movement. It is tiring. Sometimes we are weary, but we know that we have the strength of our ancestors in us to propel us to do great things. Including, I want to think of the children of Rayshard Brooks, Eric Garner, George Floyd. These are children who have lost their mother and their fathers in a national and often videotape. Has seen this videotape. These videotapes they're not going away. And so in closing, I say that we think of those children, we think of what we can add to this movement and how we can love on each other and change the world one day at a time.
Thank you. Ian?
Well, first and foremost, Mr. West, thank you for having me on this show. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this family. Secondly, I know that with everything going on, it could be very somber at times, a lot of things on our minds. But I want to encourage you that although we are in a fight, we will finish this fight and we will see change. And I want everyone who's involved, whether it be marching, protesting, politically, in the educational system, whatever it is, bring your best to the table so that we can see the change that we need to see, because it's there, and we just have to have the light shown on it. So I just want to encourage you guys. Thank you so much for having me here with you guys this season, and I'm looking forward to what's up next.
Absolutely. Guys, once again, thank you. Thank you, Shay. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thank you.
guys, as we get ready to wrap up, man, listen, what I just this whole season has really just been amazing. I'm just excited. I'm honored. I want to say thank you. Really thank you to a few people. First off, I just want to say thank you to God for allowing me to kind of just start this whole journey. I remember making a phone call to Sandra Gant, and I gotta give just a few people some roses right now. And I remember calling her, and I said to her, I said, "Man, I'm really feeling like I need to do like this whole online show and just kind of do something." And I asked her, I said, "Well, what do you think?" And she said, "Well, Wesley, what is God saying? Because it don't matter what I think if you're hearing what God is saying." And I just wanted to say thank you to her, because she's given me that, and she's been on every single night, every Thursday, every week for the past 12 weeks, even through the revival. So Sandra, again, thank you. Thank you to Impact Family. Thank you to all my mothers. And then thank you, Derek, man. Thank you to my brother Derek. I called him, and Alex, he's one of those people that that you were speaking about as far as in the background. And when I called him, he was like, "Man, what can I do to help?" And we started talking and putting this together. And I remember the first episode was a Zoom episode. And then all of a sudden now we got Mimo, and now we got graphics, and he's constantly working to make the show better. And he's up, I mean, sometimes 1, 2 in the morning working, and he's calling me, doing these conference calls and putting in tech tickets and trying to figure out what can we do to make the show better. And then my brother Ian, man, from the moment that we met, we've kind of hit it off. So I want to say thank you, Fred, for introducing me to Ian, you know, and us making that connection. And ever since the revival, we've been riding strong. So thank you, my brother, for being a part of this. And like Ian said, guys, we're getting ready to do some amazing things in season 2. When we come back in season 2 at the 1st of August, I hope y'all are ready. I mean, we are already reaching out to another just calendar of guests. I want to shout out Tiffany just for being so amazing. Tiffany Walton, thank you, you know, for coming on and being one of the administrators for the show. So I really want to thank her. And then lastly, I want to thank my wife and Ian. I'm gonna shout out your wife too, man, and just kids and family, because it's you know, a lot of people don't realize like we're on line late into the night talking about the show, trying to put stuff together, and that pulls us. And just your wife has been, you know, just so calm and loving towards this. My wife has been the same way. So just want to shout out them and every single guest that we've had on the show from season 1. From episode 1 all the way up to episode 12. Thank y'all. And last but not least, to everybody who's tuned in, whether you tuned in one time, every time, thank you. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your shares. Thank you for your prayers. But we can't end it without saying it. And a good friend of mine, he hit me up. Brent, what's up, man? He hit me up. He said, man, I love it. I love the way you end your show. And just in case you don't know how we end the show just like this every night. We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.